Good day. Today, we are going to teach you about hydrocarbons. What are hydrocarbons? Hydrocarbons are compounds mostly composed with carbon and hydrogen. This shows the bonding of the two elements. This is a covalent bond. Later, we will tell you why it is a covalent bond. There are two types of hydrocarbons. Aliphatic compounds are known as open-chain compounds, while cyclic compounds are known as closed-chain compounds. Aliphatic compounds has two types, which are saturated and unsaturated. Unsaturated compounds are known as alkanes or paraffins, while unsaturated compounds are known as alkenes or olefins. This picture represents the number of carbon atoms. This is needed when naming the alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. So, let's go first to alkanes. Alkanes is known to be single bond. It can be represented as molecular formula, expanded formula, condensed formula, and line formula. In giving the molecular formula, you need to follow this. First, you need to find out how many carbons there are, because the number of carbons will be the substitute for N. After getting N, multiply it by 2 and add 2, just like the one in the formula. And then the sum will be the number of your hydrogen. In expanded formula, you just need to draw everything just like in the picture. In drawing it, you need to follow your reference. If there is only 3 carbons, just like in the picture, then you will only need to draw 3 carbons. You will need to be guided of how many hydrogen are there in a carbon, since not all carbons have the same amount of hydrogen. You must be wondering why there are different amounts of hydrogen in a carbon. Carbons have 4 valence electrons, and in order for it to exist, 4 more electrons are needed. Hydrogen is an exemption, for it only needs 1 more electrons in order for it to exist. The first carbon in the peak only has 3 hydrogen, since it borrowed 1 electron from the second carbon. The second carbon only has 2 hydrogen, since it borrowed 1 electron from the first carbon and from the third carbon. The third carbon only has 3 hydrogen, since it borrowed 1 electron from the second carbon. In condensed formula, it is less confusing. You just need to write directly the carbons and the numbers of hydrogen from each carbons, just like shown in the picture. In line formula, one line has 2 carbons, since the 2 tips of the line or the dots are carbon. If 1 more carbon is added, then connect 1 more dots from the first line, and it will look like this. This alkane is called propane. Remember the first picture that I've shown you? You will be guided there in naming the alkane. That is called propane, since the numbers of carbon there is only 3, and then we just added the suffix "ane". Those lines are called substituents. Those substituents are considered as methyl. So in naming here, we have 1,3-dimethylpropane. We use the prefix di since there are 2 methyl in the line formula. We use numbers in order for us to indicate its location.
Alkenes are known to be having double bond,
So this is what it looks like when it is shown in line formula. Start counting from the nearest. So the nearest here is a double bond. The name for this line formula is 2-methyl-1-pentene. 2-methyl since the substituent is located at the second, while 1-pentene since its double bond is located at the first. This time, we just use the prefix "-in".
Alkyne. In alkyne, same ways are used: molecular formula, expanded formula, condensed formula, and line formula. It's just that the molecular formula of this is CnH2n-2.
Aromatic compounds. Aromatic compounds are also known as closed-chain compounds. Take a look at this pic. These are examples of aromatic compounds. Both of them are called benzene. Benzene can be drawn like this or like this. Benzene has 6 carbon atoms, and it also has double bond just as shown in the first pic. When we make it to expanded formula, this is what it looks like. If there is a 1-methyl in a benzene, it is called methylbenzene or toluene. These following are ortho, meta, and para. These are used when substituting numbers. Ortho has no space, meta has 1 space, while para has 2 space. For example, this can be called 2-chloromethylbenzene, but instead of using number, we will use O, which stands for ortho. So this will be called O-chloromethylbenzene. This can be called as 3-chloromethylbenzene, but instead of using number, we will use M, which stands for meta. So this will be called M-chloromethylbenzene. This can be called 4-chloromethylbenzene, but instead of using number, we will use P, which stands for para. So this will be called P-chloromethylbenzene. Remember, ortho, meta, and para can only be used when there is only 2 substituents. If there are 3 substituents, like this, then we will use numbers. This has been John Aaron Incaliado,
Rafael Ratilla.
and Donnie Lamorganda. Hope you learned something, guys!